Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Bill Allen sitting in for Winston Chester this morning. I got Greg going to be here in a minute with us, and today is Friday, April the 4th. I don't know what happened to January, February, and March already, but we're looking at a high today of 84 with a low of 69, and southeast winds at 10 to 15. I guarantee you it's a minimum of 15. The wind is just not going to stop blowing here. Tides are looking pretty good. The lows 2:16 a.m. this morning with a high this afternoon at 3:39. So if you're where you can fish at lunchtime and go catch that incoming, or like us, if you want to fish a falling tide with the later sunset, today's a great time to do it. As a matter of fact, if you can get out, the peak times today are 5:23 this morning to 7:23 this morning, but also 5:50 this afternoon to 7:50, and it's listed as a very high activity today. If you can fight the wind, find someplace out of the wind, it's going to be a good time to fish today. And water temperature is up, so the fish are starting to get active. I mean, it's time. River readings, Apalachicola at Bluntstown is 8.4, and a slow fall on that, so it's coming off that bump from the rain that we had, or they had up north from here. And Choctawhatchee at Caryville is roughly 8 feet, and it's falling pretty good. So it's a great time to fish both of those. Good condition. In fact, a great day to fish, period. So if you can get out, great time to go. We're going to go ahead and take this break, and we'll be right back. Hey, welcome back. As you can see, I'm here joined with my friend, my fishing partner, Mr. Brudnicki here. And so first segment here, we want to talk about, we finally made the trip to Delacroix, Louisiana. And do you remember when? In late February, early March when we went, off of that big snowstorm and everything else. It wasn't perfect conditions, but we went over on a Wednesday. We fished Thursday and Friday and came home. And if you look up here on the screen, you check out that sign is at the end of the road where we fished, and it says "End of the World, Delacroix, Louisiana," and that's exactly the case. Here's the pro tip. If you're going to Delacroix and you want something there, you better bring it with you, because there aren't any stores. There's not a tackle shop. The nearest convenience store was, what, 16 miles away?
16 miles. That was, talk about remote.
Yeah, remote.
And you're only at like maybe 45 minutes from New Orleans, but it was just so rural, and it's just nothing there. And thank God the guy had a food truck over there next to where we were staying, and he was open for about 10 minutes a day. You know, and so
yeah.
you better bring it with you, because
this is the
wow.
First class accommodations we stayed at, which for that area probably was pretty first class. I think that was one of those 3/4 size FEMA trailers from maybe 30 years ago.
I hope you didn't take any pictures of the inside.
I did not take any pictures of the inside, but we fished with Sweetwater Guide Service and Marina. And I tell you what, and then this guy was raised there, been guiding for what, 25 years.
He was something else.
He was an original Louisianan from that area, but water temperature wasn't great, and but we did catch 100 trout. How many?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
100 trout, probably what, 3 or 4 reds, and maybe a half a dozen black drum.
Yeah.
And didn't we get a couple flounder?
Yeah, first thing I caught was a flounder out there.
We each got a flounder over there.
But
and then,
it wasn't the right conditions and water conditions for us to do what we really went there to do, was to fish in 2 foot or less of water like we do here, sight fish reds. It just after the snow, and they had 16 inches over there, he was telling us. And so, and of course, we did not fish any live bait. And the guy that we fished with there at Sweetwater, he owned a shrimp boat as well, and that little bit, well, marina. There's one launch in a little store where he kept his live shrimp at when he had it, but we didn't want to do it anyway. We fished artificials like usual. But what you talking about, some beautiful country over there, thousands of those sand islands that, you know, from 20 feet around to an eighth of a mile around, and if you don't know where we did not take our boats obviously because we didn't know where to go, but we ran around some of those islands, was close enough to reach out and touch, but that was the only way.
And a bunch of alligators.
Yeah, we saw plenty of alligators.
Wow, I'm telling you, a lot of alligators. So they were prevalent.
And a couple of studs.
Yes.
Some of those smaller alligators, smaller being 6, 7 foot, they'd all scramble and jump in the water, but there was a couple of grown men who, they didn't care if that boat was there or not. And I don't know how big those gators are, but they were getting in that 11, 12 foot range where they were just hanging out on that island, didn't care what we did. But, you know, we fished from like 6:30 to 3:30 in the afternoon, and a lot of different places, a lot of different ways. And it is true, if you want to, that was a great trout trip. But now we are going to plan on going back maybe with Mark and Michael Cowart, who fished there a lot, and do a lot of that sight fishing. We just didn't have the opportunity to do it.
Right. Yeah. It's it's similar to what we have here, but we have small areas. We're talking about 100 square miles of marsh.
Yeah.
And you get, 15 minutes away from the landing, you don't know where in the world you are. I mean, of course, because we had never been there before, and I'm sure after 25 years, he knew every crevice and crack of the whole place. But you can't go there without having, somebody knowledgeable with you, because there was some places that we went where the water was so skinny that, and you figure, okay, well, what's it going to be when the tide changes 2 or 3 hours from now, and to what it is to now, and unless you're used to that, you just don't want to go out there and risk, getting caught
or your lower unit.
Yeah, I mean, because you're.
All right, so let's take this break. We'll come back and continue some of this and give one little video with it. All right, welcome back. Yeah, I mean, it was a great trip as far as numbers of fish and fishing somewhere we never fished before, but not the trip we were headed to.
Yeah, well, and for that time of year, we were kind of pushing it because some friends of ours that fish over there usually fish in May. They use live bait, which it would have been nice to try to do that, but we had to fish artificial. There wasn't any shrimp, but we still caught a ton of fish.
Oh yeah, we caught a ton of fish. It was a completely different experience. We'll go back. It's just it was tough conditions.
Right.
With water temperature that time of year was a little rough, and they had started catching a bunch of fish. It just wasn't the redfish that we had hoped for. But now we did get out now a week or so ago here, and probably shouldn't have gone because it was really windy at that point. We had to fight to catch trout. We wound up catching a fair number of trout, but I wanted to show you this video right here, Jeff, and yeah, I held it wrong again. So anyway, we're out in East Bay, and Greg is hooked up here. Let you talk through it.
Yeah, I thought I hit a redfish at first because of the weight, and then, oh God, it must be a big catfish. Well, it wasn't a big catfish, and it wasn't a redfish. it was just too heavy. And I thought, no, it can't be a skate because it wasn't making really long runs. But the weight was just, it was just bizarre. And
you had Paul Brown, right?
And I had a suspended bait on and still hadn't been cut off. And so I'm sitting there, working on it. He goes and gets the camera and we're trying to figure out what in the world, this could be, because it was just, the weight was, I know we're wasting a lot of time here and trying to create a certain amount of suspense, but when you see what I got, you go, oh,
well,
brother.
you can see that it's very windy out there.
Yeah,
we were struggling to find places to catch fish. Didn't have good tide either because of the wind. It made it hard to get to places that we wanted to go.
Yeah, we were right here. We were only in about 2 feet of water, I guess. But it's kind of dirty because of the wind. And I'm still working, trying to get this thing up. And I think that Bill put the camera down to go.
There he is.
You can see it. It's a dead gum gar. Look at the size of that gar. He had to be 40 or 50 pounds. He was 5 foot long at least. And
we've seen them, but we haven't hooked them.
Never hooked one. And you would think that, that's where he just took off and made another.
Yeah, so at that
run.
point, I'm setting it down because I figure I'm going to have to lay on the bow of the boat, and we don't want him in the boat. And,
right.
Certainly
he
don't
came
want
up
to
and
lift
just,
him.
he came up right when he went and put the thing down. I was like,
Very fortunate.
It looked like, and they're very prehistoric looking. That's that's an ugly, and there are people say, oh, you can eat those,
Eat
and
them.
yeah, oh yeah, I heard it from 2 or 3 people the other night. Yeah, you ought to try those. They're good. I said, listen, if I get that fish hungry, I'll open me a can of Starkist. I'm not gonna fiddle with a gar.
So last Saturday, I had all the grandkids here, had 3 of them here, my daughter-in-law and Donna, and wanted to go and try to catch some Spanish, but the wind was blowing so hard, it was just impossible. I thought about taking them to the river, and I decided, well, it's just rough there too, water's high, and I talked to Winston and Carl Andrews, and they were out, and they caught like 2 Spanish, and they were getting beat to death. Mm-hmm. So I grabbed the kids and a bunch of popping corks with the little 16th ounce lead head, and I got 2-inch gulp. I was trying to ensure that we try to catch something, but you can see it's windy. It's been blowing over the back. Mm-hmm. But we went out just east of West Bay Point because I didn't want to risk trying to cross. It was so bad. And that's my granddaughter, Blakely. But so I fixed them all up with popping corks, and we went out there and power pole down. And I was just hoping we could catch something, but we wound up catching about 40 trout.
Wow.
They had an absolute ball, and they were all pretty much taking care of themselves, but I'm just going to show a couple of these. That's Easton, my grandson, with a pretty decent trout. He had a little bit bigger head on that one that I had on the others. That's Jennifer, my daughter-in-law, who just quietly caught more fish than anybody else. And that's Blakely with another one. She caught 4 or 5 herself. My grandson, Trace. And you can see the rig there, not very deep. We were 2.5 foot of water trying to get out of it. That's Jennifer with another nice one, and of course, Blakely. But this is Donna running to help Blakely up there. Now, you talk about excited when she got a fish on there. And the purpose of this is not really to show off my grandkids, although I know that looks what I'm doing. But if you have the chance and you can get out there with a popping cork and some gulp or some live shrimp, I mean, you just wearing them out. And that's Easton boat up with a catfish. We picked that one up too, which I wouldn't let him handle that one. He was handling most of the fish, but I didn't want to have to perform any surgery there, so I didn't do that. And this is pretty funny here. This is an overhead release by Donna. she was holding on to that, trying to get a picture. That trout was about 13 inches, started wiggling. She was trying to catch him. She wound up throwing it over her head to release him. But now here's the thing, we're at West Bay Point. The first fish we catch is Easton caught is a nice keeper Spanish out there. And so, you know, there's Trace. I'm gonna run through these real quick. Blakely had a pretty nice fish right there. So anyway, that's it, Jeff. But you're talking about having a ball and those kids having a good time. And I had some rods specifically set up for them to fish with. And we just had an absolute ball.
I started Stella on that popping cork.
Your granddaughter.
My granddaughter, and she, you know, that hooked her because, you know, we got out there before, and I think there was one time 15 casts in a row she caught them, and she thought that's the way it always was.
You want to introduce these kids to fishing. That's the best, the easiest way to do it.
Yeah. And
you find them, you can have an absolute ball. I know we went through that pretty quick. Let's take this break and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back, and it's Friday, so we need to give some stuff away. I'm gonna let you do the honors. And this first drawing is going to be for Gene's Oyster Bars. It's a mullet plate, which, is that my name?
If your name is Lexi Melvin from Fountain.
If I can get a free mullet plate, it could
Okay,
be.
Lexi, you just won a free mullet plate.
Congratulations. Now, Tarpon Doc is always giving away that $20 gift certificate.
Okay, from Chattahoochee, Ned Maxwell.
All the way over at Chattahoochee. Cool, that's good. And also, Tarpon Doc, you know, has been great, and they're giving away that red snapper.
All right.
Yeah, you got one more to give away.
Good. Okay, here we go. Jerry Roberts from Port St. Joe.
All right.
Greg Abrams.
That's from everywhere
from
around
over there,
here.
so he probably
Everywhere
knows
around
it.
here. Congratulations, guys. I want to go through this couple of pictures here real quick, and I know we're running through this stuff, but this is up my buddy Rocky's farms. Not a good way to put it. His Cross Creek Farms, but it's I've hunted up there with him. It's extreme North Alabama, and that's his grandson. Cole Green and Dylan Six with a couple of really nice birds. And then there's Rocky's grandson as well with a really nice bird there. And, you know, that's some of the most beautiful. I think he's got 600 or 800 acres up there, and it just Tennessee's on the north border. That is some absolutely beautiful country. But let's go back a little bit. I got to stop it. I got to say hello to, you know, we're always running into people who watch this show, and y'all comment, and it's great. Most of them are good, but I play golf when I can, and I love to go to Windswept Dunes up there off of 20. It's a fabulous golf course. It is well maintained. The practice facilities are great. Jim Lewis and I play up there, and I want to say hello to my buddy Paul up there who works there. They take good care of locals up there, and they really treat you right. But he moved here about 12, 13 years ago and found the show, been watching it every day, and he never fails to say something good about it. So, hey, Paul, if with all this wind, I'm going to come up there and see you soon, I hope. But let's just go back a little bit and talk about that taking those kids fishing. You know, I mean, you took Stella from an early age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's once you get them hooked, it's something that just like my dad did with me. I mean, you know, I moved here when I was 9 years old, but even before that, when I was 6 and 7 years old, he used to take me fishing.
In Chicago, right?
Yeah, well, we would go up to Wisconsin, and we would fish. We would troll. We had to troll with oars, and caught striped bass, and we caught, you know, crappies in the wintertime, and then we ice fished in the wintertime. We caught, you know, crappies, and we caught them through the ice. I mean, I remember going out with a kid and driving out on the lake, in Lake Geneva, and, you know, we had a station wagon, everybody had station wagons, cutting a hole in the ice with an auger, and sitting there and catching
In the wide open.
Oh yeah, and I'm talking about cold.
None of these shacks.
4 or 5 pairs of pants on. We didn't, none of that stuff. And we would I'd never forget catching a crappie with a little tiny rod about that long. You just wrap the line around 2 sticks sticking out on the side of it, and taking that fish, and you had gloves on, taking it off, and you toss it over to the side.
No ice chest needed.
No ice chest. And all of a sudden, you'd hear tick, 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 where the fish was still alive, but the fins were already frozen, because it was so cold, and I didn't think anything of it, but it just kind of it caused me to get the fever, and so I've had it for,
Your dad and my dad had it bad. That's why I can't say we were kind of in that same boat, but
we did.
Yeah, so the popping cork like that. It's just a great way to get them out. It's hard to get things messed up, if you're using Power Pro or something slick, you got to kind of help with the casting a little bit. I did with Blakely, but the other guys took care of it, and Jennifer did. But, it's just a great way to introduce kids to fishing. It's fun. If you get in a little place like that, the biggest trout we caught was 13 inches. We probably caught 4 or 5. It didn't matter. They were just as excited about a 10-inch trout as they were anything else. So it wasn't the keeping them wasn't the point. It was just getting them out there, and doing it.
And the thing is, I haven't bought live bait in a long time. We don't even throw casts anymore. We always use artificials. But doing that with kids, if you put a little shrimp on there and you're catching little fish, you got to bait up all the time. Whereas if you've got that gulp, it's going to be there, and they can get that second, third, fourth hit and actually get the fish and have a chance to bring them in. With small stuff like that, and bait is just, I'm sure it's expensive. I don't know, but if you've got that many kids fishing, that gulp will hang on there.
Yeah, I bought 2 packs of those little gulp like that. There's 2 inch, and they're more than enough.
Sure.
Listen, we've had a great time. I hope you've enjoyed it. Have a great day. Do something good for somebody, and God bless.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.